Yeah. Welcome back to another episode of Crypto and the Caribbean, the show where we cover all things crypto and Caribbean related. I'm your host, L, and currently it is the middle of the night, so I am tired. So we can keep these stories pretty short for you all tonight. We got three of them coming at you. First one, we're going to be giving you some updates on JamDex and its rollout over there in Jamaica. Second one, we're going to be talking a bit about Haiti and what they could potentially be looking at in terms of a CBDC. And then third, we have a special guest feature popping up on Time 100's most influential people of 2022. So, you already know, we ain't come here to slap up, and it's super late, so I dead tired. So we can jump straight into it. So, we've been following the progress of JamDex, the Jamaican CBDC, for a while now, as they slowly launch the project and ease the CBDC into the mainstream circulation. So let's take a look at what's been going on recently with it. So right here, we have May 20th, a bill to move CBDC forward tabled. Now it says here the Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, on Tuesday tabled a bill entitled An Act to Amend the Bank of Jamaica Act, which seeks to facilitate the national issuance. Okay, so let's try that again. So, the Finance Minister, Dr. Nigel Clark, on Tuesday tabled a bill entitled An Act to Amend the Bank of Jamaica Act, which seeks to facilitate the national issuance of the CBDC called JamDex. So, it was made in a Twitter post. It says here, Dr. Clark said that the tabling of the bill is keeping with the timing which he laid out in his budget presentation. Basically saying that tabling this bill, postponing it, stretching it out is all according to plan. This is exactly how they intended for this to work, or it's within the given parameters. It's still on time. It says here, in addition to facilitating JamDex, the bill will also empower the Bank of Jamaica as the sole authority to issue CBDC as legal tender. Claiming here in the next sentence that the passage of this amendment is among one of the final steps required before JamDex can be fully launched to the public. So this right here is highlighting the importance of this amendment that they've decided to table for the time being. More on that in a little bit. Another thing here to point out, down here it says, speaking at a digital quarterly media briefing earlier this year, Deputy Governor with responsibility for banking and currency operations and financial markets at the BOJ. They love these long titles, boy. Natalie Haynes noted that some of the areas which should be finalized before the full rollout include 1. Increasing the number of deposit-taking institutions, or DTIs, a new acronym to keep your eyes out for, onboarding clients. So basically saying we need more institutions that can bring people into this system, or that can facilitate, or that have the infrastructure to let people come into this system. Ramping up the communication campaign, marketing, and the BOJ completing its independent third-party quality assurance assessment of the system. Paying someone to double-check everything, dot the I's, cross the T's, and make sure that everything is as it needs to be for a financial system. Because I mean, normally with tech, they say move fast, break things, but when it comes to money and finance, you can't afford to be breaking stuff. You can't afford to just move fast and go recklessly and just fix it as you go along, because there's very detrimental side effects that can come from that kind of strategy when looking towards finance and potentially a country's money, a country's currency. So this one was issued on May 20th. So we're going to jump ahead about a week, exactly a week actually, May 27th here. And the new headline here, JamDex reluctance. Now we have the governor of the Bank of Jamaica saying here that the inability to make money off of these CBDCs is behind the bank's hesitance to embrace digital currency. Now down here, Richard Biles, governor of the Bank of Jamaica, seemingly suggests that commercial banks are slow to get on board with the central bank digital currency because they do not stand to profit from it. Now, this is a hot take. And normally this is if this was to come from someone like me or someone outside of the world of finance, this would be seen as just another conspiracy, or you just guessing. You're not behind. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You don't know what the legislation look like, what guidelines or rules or stipulations or requirements are necessary to run this kind of thing. So you can't say that. But this isn't me talking. This is the governor of the Bank of Jamaica. Anyway, he's quoted here: because central bank digital currency is free to use and the banks can't attach a fee to it, there's a little bit of reluctance to embrace it and to take it to market. Biles told this to Bloomberg Television in a live interview. It continues on here. He, however, said the BOJ has been encouraging the banks to get on board with the CBDC, which is named JamDex in Jamaica. We already know that. He said to overcome the challenges of not being able to make money from issuing JamDex, the banks are bundling it with other products. So what he's saying here, and they say suggested, but this seems pretty direct to me. It sounds like he's outright saying that these commercial banks aren't trying to deal with the CBDCs because they don't have an effective system to monetize it yet. They don't have a clear-cut guideline or clear-cut rules on how they could implement this while maintaining whatever their current financial structure is or their setup, because we all know how banks work. We know how banks work. They make their money off of fees. So when you present something that has the same function as the money that you've always been using, but it doesn't have the kind of infrastructure that facilitates these fees. It doesn't allow you to make arbitrary fees that you then pass off to all of your customers down the line. So what Biles is saying here is really like, look, we could knock this out the park. We could get this really rolling and we could get this into the hands of many Jamaicans, but the commercial banks ain't really feeling that because they're putting a hole in their pocket. So he continues here: I think that what the commercial banks are looking to do is to wrap that CBDC in a wallet where they can offer many other financial services and on that basis distribute it to their customers. So I'm looking forward to the future when those wallets will become public and become interoperable and begin to gain momentum. This is a pretty big paragraph here, because what he's saying is that in an effort to still find some way to monetize these CBDCs for their personal gain, obviously, the commercial banks are starting to bundle the CBDCs, or the wallet, I should say. I'm still kind of iffy on that. But they're trying to bundle it with other services or pre-existing services that they have, so that they can still rake in some sort of fee from having that added service. Now, what he says here at the end stands out to me, because normally this kind of talk you don't hear from bankers. This is normally the anarchists and the degens and the cypherpunks and the crypto people who talk like this. But what I feel he's implying here is that he would actually prefer non-custodial wallets or some kind of non-custodial storage for these CBDCs, as opposed to having these custody wallets, which the commercial banks seem to be forcing with the CBDCs and whatever else comes in that bundle that they offer. So I'm not gonna lie, Biles is looking pretty degen right now. This is very degenerate behavior. I mean, you publicly calling out commercial banks. You're saying, look, everyone needs to have their own wallet. That you sound like a Bitcoiner to me, but that's just me. Now here they make mention of the amendment being tabled going forward. Coming down a bit more, we have another statement from Natalie Haynes here, saying we're in a phased rollout with one existing wallet provider, which is NCB. Through NCB, the qualifying customers for the government's cash incentive of $2,500 that has been paid to qualifying persons, and the balance of persons that qualify will be paid at the end of this month. And just to clarify again, we did this before, that $2,500 is in Jamaican dollars. That's not US dollars. And correct me if I'm wrong in the comments down below, but I'm pretty sure that translates to about like $16 US. So she continues, so by the end of this month, the full threshold of 100,000 customers will be met, and those persons will be able to begin transactions among NCB wallet providers by the end of this month, going into the first week of June. And then a bit more down here, we have a few more quotes from Biles, showing that despite whatever pitfalls or speed bumps they hit along the way, he's still relatively optimistic. He says, cash is very expensive for us to mint it and distribute it. Very expensive for the banks to hold it and distribute it. Very expensive for every businessman to take the cash, secure it, and transport. So CBDCs offer the chance to take that cost out of all levels of the system. He then continues, one of the reasons that I think the CBDC will be successful is that 70% of the persons in Jamaica have a bank account, but many of them don't use it because of the fees and because of the inconvenience. What a digital currency will do in Jamaica, as in the rest of Latin America, is give them the freedom of moving money around without touching the banks. I think that is a big impetus for persons. Now, they do go into a bit more, as you can see through the article, but it's just one thing here that I wanted to highlight before we move on. Now here, Biles said, in Jamaica, with the central bank digital currency, we at the central bank won't know who is doing what transaction. The commercial banks, if they are requested to, they can trace where every transaction came from and where it went. Now to do that, in our case, for example, you would need a court order. So somebody would have to get authorization from the courts to say, let me go and look for the transaction that John Brown did on 14th of September, blah, blah, blah. And that can be traced, and that is one of the big advantages of digital currency. But normally it would be quite anonymous because we're trying to make cash as much as possible free to use and anonymous, and only in exceptional circumstances we would break that anonymity. So this paragraph here pretty much highlights from Biles' perspective why CBDCs are superior to physical cash. Now, being the degen that I am, when I read we at the central bank won't know who is doing what transaction, I call cap. Complete cap. Absolute cap. Because you then follow that sentence up by saying the commercial banks, if they're requested to, they can trace whatever transaction came from, blah, 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 blah. So you can. So, I mean, the formality of saying, oh, well, we can't see it, we can't see it, but you just got to tap homie right next to you and say, look at it, tell me what it say. That you can see it. You can, like, you don't slick. You good. You don't slick, but you good. So all in all, JamDex, Jamaica's CBDC, is steadily progressing as they work out and iron out some of the kinks and the finer details as they potentially roll it out through the rest of Jamaica. And hopefully by the end of the year, which they're saying they're still on target to hit, should be in the hands of most, if not all, Jamaicans. Next up, we're going to talk a bit about Haiti. I think this is going to be the first time that I'm actually referencing Haiti for the show, but this story recently came on my radar, so I did a bit of digging and looked into the backlog and saw that I definitely missed some stuff. So let's check this out. So first up, 19th of June 2019. So the Bank of the Republic of Haiti invited Barbados-based fintech BIT, you already know, to deliver a presentation on the likely benefits of a blockchain-based central bank digital currency to key stakeholders in Haiti last month. Members of the audience included representatives from international funding organizations and decision makers of banks and telecommunication operators in Haiti. So from 2019, we see that Haiti already had some interest in developing their own central bank digital currency, or some form of digital currency that they could use throughout the country. I mean, bringing in a heavy hitter like BIT, you know that they meant business. They were serious about really progressing this. But I'm just going to jump ahead for the sake of time to this next video here. So we're going up 2 years since then to May 6, 2021. The video here, why Haiti's central bank is considering a CBDC.
With regard to retail CBDCs, we have seen some of the most impressive progress from small island economies, and nowhere more so than the Caribbean. Governor Dubois from the Central Bank of Haiti is with us to talk about Haiti's plans for a central bank digital currency. Over to you, Governor Dubois.
Thank you, Chris. Good afternoon or good morning, depending on where you are. Well, thank you for inviting me. And I would start by saying that the increasing prominence of private digital currencies, such as cryptocurrencies, stablecoins, etc., has propelled central banks around the world to join the conversation on the possibilities of issuing digital currencies. Indeed, many central banks are currently studying, exploring, and testing the possibility of integrating CBDCs in their payment ecosystem. That being said, we hope you have gathered that we are ready and in line with all those technological advances. The central bank decided to leverage these innovations to help further its policies. A CBDC can be the tool to accelerate the process. Laid at the center of the digital monetary ecosystem, CBDC offers many advantages that may help address the different challenges that we face. A central bank digital currency in Haiti would help foster greater innovation and security in the payment system and promoting greater financial inclusion. Only 46% of our population is banked. A large population of the financially excluded population is in remote areas. In summary, the message I want to convey today is that Haiti is ready for its central bank digital currency as it has the potential to become a revolutionary instrument for our financial system. We look forward to this digital currency, which will help us overcome many disadvantages of cash while carrying its accessibility. The digital ease of mobile money reinforce security and the legitimacy of being issued by the central bank.
So, I mean, if you heard one, you've heard all of them. You've heard one banker talk about CBDCs, you've heard every banker talk about CBDCs. If you tuned into any of the Crypto Bahamas event and listened to any of the panels that focused on CBDCs or digital currencies registered through central banks, they hit a lot of the same talking points. So nothing new was really presented there by Mr. Dubois, but you see that the line of thinking is right in line with what we've been seeing consistently pop up in this field regarding the CBDCs and their inevitable implementation throughout Caribbean countries and possibly the rest of the world. So, coming back over here, we got this headline: MTech and Haiti Pay are partnering to prove how CBDC can offer low-cost digital finance to unbanked Haitians. Mind you, mark the time, May 5th, 2022. So this is almost exactly 1 year after Dubois' speech in the last video that we just watched. Now, who is MTech? Who is Haiti Pay? Just a quick dive. Modern central banking here, MTech, unlocking the power of regulatory and currency innovations for financial ecosystems, a bunch of buzzwords. Essentially, where is it? Did I shoot past it already? We leverage technology to drive inclusive access to a modern and sound financial ecosystem across the globe. Oh man. They must have like a glossary of really good sounding words to just use in every article to guarantee success. Because I swear all of them have the exact same playbook. But essentially, what this company is here, technology as a tool, digital collaboration. It's a company designed to help central banks and financial institutions set up, run, and manage any kind of CBDC projects that they want to do. That's what this company does. And then Haiti Pay, I mean, really got to explain that one. It seems to be mobile wallets, terminals, training, open APIs, software advocacy. So it looks like Cash App mixed with QuickBooks, which is cool. That's not to downplay it at all. I actually think it's quite innovative, and if it's the first of its kind, definitely a trailblazer. But all in all, it looks like these two came together. Happened at the Haitian embassy in DC just this month. They met and basically did a presentation on CBDCs and the efficacy of implementing CBDCs, what the possibilities would be in Haiti. And then this last story that we see here, opinion of the Bank of the Republic of Haiti on the project to issue its digital currency. Now, the Bank of the Republic of Haiti informs the public in general, the financial sector, and any interested person in particular that within the framework of its project to issue a CBDC, or MDBC, I guess that's the acronym that they're going for. It might be a translation, I don't know. No technology provider has been selected to date. Now, keep these names in mind because these were the first ones that came up regarding Haiti in terms of there even being a play made towards developing a CBDC. Normally, you have different companies vying for these, for the country's attention or for the central bank's attention, so that they could be the designated company to take the charge and lead them forward with their CBDC project. So I'm not saying they're gonna be the ones, but I'm just saying they could potentially be the first ones out. Maybe I'm not informed, but they're the first ones that I've seen. And no technology provider has been selected to date. Well, they might have their pick. Who knows? We'll see in time. In accordance with the legislation on public procurement, BRH is working on the tender documents that should lead to the selection of a technology solution firm. Okay, so they're actively working on it. So we might have a decision made by the end of the year. I think ideally it'll be done by the end of the year because these countries want to move quickly. They want to move not too quick, obviously, but they want it to be a calculated quickness. They want it to be as efficient and as quick as possible because they realize how rapidly this space grows and how rapidly it evolves. And they need to be at the cutting edge. They have to consistently be up to date if they don't want to get left behind. Furthermore, BRH would like to remind the public that it is the only competent authority that can provide information on the different phases of its digital currency project. So all they say in here is, look, if you don't see BRH in the header, if you don't see it coming directly from the governor of our bank, if you don't see any direct notice from us, our financial body, our entity here, it's fake news. Don't listen to it. Don't listen to it at all. So these being recent developments just happening this month, coming out of Haiti, and then looking at the backlog, seeing that they've had this interest in CBDCs for a while now, for years now actually. Coupling that with the speed that other Caribbean countries, I'm not even talking about the rest of the world, just other Caribbean countries, the speed that they're moving with the progression of their CBDC projects or whatever other digital currencies or whatever step into that whole crypto sphere. Even though technically these things aren't crypto, yes, I'm well aware of it, but for the sake of an umbrella term, to keep it simple, I just umbrella all of it under the crypto sphere. For the sake of keeping up with the other countries dabbling in the crypto sphere, they're going to want to move faster. Now, they don't want to move too fast. Obviously, they want to think about it and they want to make sure that they're doing what's in the best interest of their infrastructure. They don't want to just go really quick and just issue something that'll work, because if that's the case, they just make Bitcoin legal, you know? But no, I think we could expect to see something from Haiti by the end of this year. Quite potentially, even if we don't see an actual product, we'll see some official announcement stating that, laying out their roadmap for the rollout or the release of this CBDC project, whatever it may be. However that looks, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And then last but most certainly not least, we have a special guest appearance, some Caribbean flavor added to the top rankings of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people of 2022. Now, this is a list that Time Magazine is known for releasing every year, highlighting some of the most influential people globally across every industry for that year. And this year, the little bit of Caribbean flavor that we got, you could probably guess who it is. You're talking about her a lot, and she's the darling of the Caribbean, especially in terms of the digital space and moving forward and progressively approaching the digital space. We have Prime Minister Mia Motley from Barbados, making it to the 100 most influential people of 2022. I mean, I can't say much other than this is absolutely well deserved by her. Reading through it a little bit here. There are some who stand tall and stand out no matter where they're from, whether a large, densely populated country or a small island nation. Prime Minister Mia Motley of Barbados is one such person. Bold, fearless, and possessing a great intellect and wit, the Prime Minister is a brilliant politician who knows how to shake things up. You know what? I was going to skip through some of it, but no, I respect her too much. We could read this entire thing. Y'all gonna know who she is today. Since she was a young woman growing up in the Caribbean, Mia Motley has always cared deeply about critical issues impacting the world. From poverty to debt to climate change, she's a vocal advocate on the world stage for responsible stewardship of our planet so that nations large and small and people rich and poor can survive and thrive together. At COP26 in Glasgow late last year, she chided the world's leaders for not working more diligently to limit the potential catastrophic impacts of climate change, telling them to try harder. While chair of the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund's Development Committee, she reminded the world's finance gurus that the level of a country's per capita income may not always be the best measure of its wealth. After all, one climate change-induced hurricane can take a significant toll on that wealth. And then it concludes here that Mia Motley is an icon in her country, having won re-election by a landslide. Prime Minister strides boldly on the world stage. She's an embodiment of our conscience, reminding us all to treat our planet and therefore one another with love, dignity, and care. So, I mean, there's nothing else really to say. Congratulations to President. Congratulations to Prime Minister Mia Motley. She more than deserves this. She's definitely one of the most influential people of 2022. Hands down, without a doubt, there's no question about it. So we're gonna wrap things up right there for tonight. Thank you all for coming through, kicking it with us for another episode of Crypto in the Caribbean. You already know what to do by now. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for the Gentleman of Crypto channel, and don't forget to hit the bell so you don't miss the notification. Aside from this show, we have over 20 different crypto content creators signed to the label right now. We have so many content creators. There's absolutely nothing that you cannot find out on this channel. Make sure you subscribe, hit that bell so you don't miss it. Trust me, it's gonna be the one source that you need. Any questions, comments, concerns, definitely leave them down in the comments. I lurk there from time to time. You know, I try to do my thing, go through, respond to the comments. If you have any questions, you have anything that you feel I got incorrect maybe, or maybe my research wasn't good, but whatever it may be, let me know down there in the comments, and I'll get back to you. And if I don't, if I'm slunking, I waste time, and you really gotta let me know you didn't like my coverage, this is the spot to find me. That link tree there has the links to all of my socials, all of my existing work, my writing, the playlist of these episodes, everything that you need to know and find about me, you can find right over there. So, all that being said, thank you again for coming through. I am going to bed. So, till next time, we can link.